Greg, what's up, dude?
What are you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm live on the air. I appreciate you calling in. Hey,
the pleasure's mine.
So,
Am I supposed to say a long-time listener, first-time caller, right?
Yes, that works perfect. Hey, you know what's so funny is the guy was just asking me. I was just on. There was a caller on, and he asked, "Hey, how come you don't belong to an affiliate?" And then I saw you were calling, and I know that people are going to be like, "Oh shit, Sevan's avoiding answering that question." It seems to be a theme that people want to drive home with me every once in a while. It comes up periodically, like every few months, a bunch of people will get together and be like, "Hey, why the fuck doesn't this guy belong to an affiliate?"
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to answer that.
Well, I asked him why should I belong to an affiliate, and the one good reason he did come up with is he said if you do belong to an affiliate, you'll push harder, and that is true. But the main reason why I don't is just it's time allocation. I have everything here at my house, and I know that if I go to an affiliate, it's like find a parking spot, is 15 minutes, then do the class for an hour.
Find someone to watch the kids and drive across town.
Yeah, all that stuff.
And you got all the shit in your garage.
All that stuff. So it's just time allocation. But maybe there will be a time in my life when my kids move out that I will go to. My mom goes to an affiliate. She fucking loves it. She loves the accountability, the coaching, and the community. She absolutely loves it. And my wife used to love it too until the world shut down for a couple of years and all the gyms shut down and she stopped going and never went back. Now my wife teaches people out of the garage, Greg. Teaches your methodology out of the garage.
Yeah. My sister is an affiliate.
Oh, she is. Kathy is.
Yeah. She affiliated her backyard.
Philip Kelly.
It's three dog CrossFit.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, she still has that, huh?
Yeah. Unless they took it from her.
Philip Kelly. Greg saved my life through CrossFit. Greg is the GOAT. He just made a comment.
Sweet.
Jeffrey Birchfield, professor, where is he? The University of Texas. I want to say in neurobiology, says, tell Greg I said howdy.
That's cool. A lot of good folks out there. I got a lot of good friends.
12 daily doses. Did Greg invent Fight Gone Bad? What an asshole move. Fair enough. No one's perfect. Hey, Greg, I'm going to ask you a tough question. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Tough question.
Here you go. Tough question. I have proposed that when you were running CrossFit, that it was similar to like Greenpeace. They had one mission, and that mission was to save whales from being killed by the Japanese boaters, let's say, right? Those Japanese people that were killing all the whales. And so their singular mission was to protect the whales, right? And it wasn't to make money. And I'm guessing that CrossFit was like that. You started CrossFit and it had a mission. And now the mission, if you're not the owner, or the owner is owned by venture capitalists, or if the company's gone public, that it can't pursue a mission outside of making money, which therefore then, legally speaking, which then makes the company completely different.
Yeah, I'd invest an enormous amount of time, resources, training, experience, develop some expertise, and I didn't see myself at the time this way, but I do now as kind of a health and fitness activist, and it morphed into a business. The first affiliate wasn't my idea. It was Dave Warner's idea. And he said, "Hey, we want to be an affiliate." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "We're going to fly the flag." In fact, they opened up in a SureGuard storage unit, and if anyone had seen that as a business, I think they'd have been nuts. And if they say now they would have, they're probably lying. But it kind of developed it into a business. But for me, the financial side was always what was sustaining the effort. And my commitment was to the affiliates to spread the gospel, if you will. They were the forward guard of what was no less than a revolution in fitness and health and nutrition. And so I've always been protective of the affiliates. And frankly, even from the business perspective, that's all there was. And I knew that trying to spew out the whole thing, right? CrossFit jump ropes, CrossFit dumbbells, CrossFit rings, CrossFit protein powder, fish oil, all those things. And I presented with all of those and told that I was a shitty businessman and didn't know what I was doing because I didn't take advantage of those things. But what I saw is that if I couldn't come up with rings that differentiated themselves from other rings in the manner that the training prescription did from other training prescriptions, then with each pair of rings we sold, with each fish oil you swallowed, capsule you swallowed, the brand was being devalued by that exact amount. You can actually quantify the devaluation. And so I stayed out of those things. And, we did make a bicycle. Why? Because we produced a bicycle with the help of Sevan Cycles in Boston that stood out from other bikes as significantly as the training stimulus from other things did. And that was kind of the effort. But, I don't want to belabor the point much. It's not that interesting to me either.
And let me just push one more time. So can it be that way with a fiduciary duty to make money to the investors? Can it still be that way?
Look, I want to be very careful, and I don't want to be a factor in what comes next. I kind of want this thing to play out as it will. And so I don't want to paint a gloomy picture, but I think that whoever owns the thing, and we have no idea who that is, I think they have a fiduciary compulsion to skew this thing out to as many different things as you could possibly fucking sell. And I imagine that to the owners, maybe not to management, but to the owners, that each of whatever there is currently number of gyms, whatever's left, that's each of those is a potent potential point of sale, point of presence. And I remember telling Reebok that at the point that you're going into the back and you pull out, let's try a size 10, you put it on, you kneel down, get the little foot measuring bullshit thing and pinching toes. Okay, walk back and forth. How's that feel? You're a Foot Locker employee. You're not a trainer. You're not a professional. You're a $9 an hour Foot Locker employee. Nothing wrong with that. But what we were doing was the professionalization of the training space, and that started with a professional prescription. This wasn't ride your life cycle, reading the newspaper, talking to the hottie next year on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, back and thighs, chest, shoulders, tries, and legs. It was different than that. It was improved from that. And the level of engagement, the points of contact subject-wise, from how you're feeling to, hey, maybe you don't need a statin. Why don't we just lower your blood sugar and see what happens to your blood lipids? All of that required something very, very different than had been seen in the community before. And I would suspect, and I'm understating this, that the compunction to the forces to move in that direction are fairly unavoidable. Look, if I had the fiduciary obligation to wring every fucking penny out of this that could possibly be wrung out of it, I really don't know what I'd do. I don't think. I'm the wrong guy. I'm not going to be able to tell affiliates that this is the best jump rope ever made. What's the best thing about it? It's CrossFit on it. Look at it. And when Nordic Naturalists came to us or whoever it was, and hey, you guys got to sell fish oil. Well, we get it. We'll provide it. How's it different than yours? It's going to say CrossFit. Oh, okay. Not interested. And I don't think you could, in a purely business sense, I don't think you can ethically avoid that. I think you have an obligation to put your name on pills and have them swallowed, though they cannot be differentiated from any other fish oil.
Right. And
I had the luxury of being the sole shareholder and a commitment to the affiliates that supported their professionalization. And I had my hands full maintaining the purity and effectiveness of the stimulus, and then keeping the screws at bay, the evil forces.
And you did a fucking great job at it. 12 daily doses.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in the end, they won. I mean, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
12 daily doses. Greg, thanks for creating this. Danny GM, damn, Greg is the man. These are all people who are making contributions to the show, Greg. This Danny GM just gave me $50 because you came on the show.
That's really sweet. Really sweet. Yeah. I get asked all the time, how are you? And like, "And how are you? Like, is there something horrible happened to me?" And look, where I stand now from where I was, I've got multi-generational wealth. I'm free to continue doing exactly what I was doing before. I wasn't concentrating on push press or WODs so much. We kind of pass that on. There are many people that have learned how to do that and do that effectively. But what I was able to do was in the movement from look, the opportunities that were afforded me and all of us in fitness came out of the corruption and deficiencies of academic strength and conditioning. And I thought I was just smarter than the people at the university because look, I don't care what you say. I'm going to get old ladies squatting. They need to. It's essential. We're going to reduce our carb load, et cetera, et cetera. And I came quickly to realize that the problem was corruption at the academic level. In fact, I think I fairly well proved that in CrossFit versus NSCA and in the NSCA versus CrossFit in the state suits. I've amply demonstrated in some landmark decisions what the corruption was. And what was fucked up in fitness is the problem sat at the university and its industrial sponsors, soda and others, food industry, food and beverage industry. And we came quickly to learn that nothing was going to get better in fitness while it was so fucked up in health. And the problem in health was similar to the problem in fitness. The problem was in science. And so now I get to address broken science. So just in my life, multi-generational wealth, freedom to continue to do what I thought was really important, needed doing anyways. And I don't think there was a lot of appreciation for it internally with the staff, nor maybe with the broader community. And I'm an older guy with a whole bunch of kids, and I get to spend time with them every day. In fact, I'm homeschooling and absolutely loving it. So my life couldn't be better. I've got none of the stresses I had before. The cool thing about being in the broken science space is that it doesn't attract any of the idiots that had to weigh in on everything, games athletes and their sponsors. On the fitness front, I'm not going to keep Catherine David's daughters never going to chime in about null hypothesis significance testing, and so I'm kind of immune from the mindlessness that required so much response.
I want to thank you.
Not to single her out. There's,
No, it's fine. I appreciate it. Hey, listen, I know that I mean this, by the way. I appreciate the more than 10 years of effort you put into me. You said a line in there that, some of the staff may have not appreciated what you were doing. I appreciate the more than 10 years of effort that you put into me, making sure that I did appreciate what you were doing and that I was finally able to glean a portion of that appreciation, because it has completely changed my life. Not changed my life, added so much value and significance to my perception of reality. I'm able to appreciate the world and people and life so much better with the perspectives that you've introduced to me. They're just the ability you've given me to see things with clarity. And I mean that. I'm not just fucking blowing you. And I know that you don't appreciate being blown either.
That's wonderfully kind and very gracious. And people would stand in line and tell me, "Thank you for changing my life." You've given the voice, and you've manifested my life's work. And so
that's cool.
Amplified, and
that's really
and
cool.
We're a megaphone to my message, and it's a two-way street. I owe you as well.
Yeah, that's a fucking really cool thing. That the community manifested your life's work. That's fucking cool. That's like in 2008 when you put your arm around Jason Khalipa and you said, "This is the product." And now you're taking it, obviously much further. Alice NYC in the comments, ask him about his next BSI event. So you had a super duper public event, and now from talking to you, it sounds like what you're going to do is you're going to do a very limited events, but shitloads of them. So events with just like 50 people at a time, but you're going to do them all over. Is that correct? And I know of one that's coming up. I don't want to reveal any details about it so it doesn't get mobbed. I
just spoke at Hillsdale College and was very well received there by faculty and by administration and some of the faculty. And at the Q&A portion, the people who were coming up asking about null hypothesis testing and the debasement, the epistemic debasement of modern science and the consequences of switching predictive strength as a determinant of a scientific model's validity with null hypothesis significance testing and peer review, and how that led to this replication crisis. All the questions that you'd hope, a discussion you'd hope would come up was actually coming not from the academics who were kind of siloing around. Why is this guy coming here talking to us about science? But it was coming from affiliates, and many of them had traveled 4, 5, 6, 7 hours to come to Hillsdale, Michigan to talk to me. I thought, geez, why try to cram this thing down? And the science that's broken, it's university science. It's not industrial science. It's university science. There's some odd exceptions where we have industry cozying up closer to government, like in pharma. But for the most part, the science that's practiced at SpaceX and Intel and Amgen is clean, and the science that's practiced at university, with the exception of some of the natural sciences, the replication crisis sits at the university, and the discomfort in bringing that up at the school was palpable. And it's the affiliates that were chomping at the bit and asking the good questions. I just, this is easy, and the affiliates are everywhere, and almost everywhere I've gone. We've done a lot of traveling. I was just in Costa Rica, where there's an affiliate. We were in St. Lucia, where there's an affiliate, and so it'd be an easy thing to just walk in casually. I had to put a jacket on and a dress shirt and all that shit to go talk in front of the academics. Someone suggested I would have been better received with a tie on. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I got that in me. And here's the thing, too. I have zero visions of changing the system. In fact, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to change. What's bad is going to get worse. But what we can do, and it's just like fitness, too. We didn't change the fitness world. I mean, I watch in my news feed, I'm seeing the low-fat diet is making an epic comeback. Epic.
Word.
And So what we can do, though, is inoculate. Love the word. We can protect not every man, but any man from the tyranny of shitty science and its purveyors. And that's an achievable thing, but it's one individual at a time. It was the same thing with the fitness too. I had no visions of changing the fitness world, but I knew that anyone that came into one of my affiliates' gyms and tribe, and that's that any man, right? There's a literary notion of every man, and it's that person that has that thing common to all of us. And I think that's been overplayed. I think what's important is that it came to me when I'd always been plagued by this question from fucking journalists, Greg, this isn't for everyone. And finally one day, there's someone that I had spent enough time with, a journalist, that I enjoyed her company, and the interaction was honest. And when she said, you have to admit this isn't for everyone, it just jumped out of my mouth. I said, you're right, but it is for anyone. And boy, that stuck with me. And from that, I created this kind of, in my head, notion of any man. And any man is anyone who comes forward and is willing to pay attention, listen, and try. And I don't care if you're 500 pounds, what color you are doesn't matter, what your health deficits do not matter. In fact, the greater the deficits, the more dramatic the response, and the better I get to look applying my trade. And so that's where we're at with this science thing. I'm interested in spreading the word, talking to people, so that people can understand how it is that when someone says, if you don't follow me, you don't believe in the science. That should make everyone laugh. And I think we've all been through enough recently that might resonate with some people. By the way, when anyone talks about the science, I got that from Matt Griggs, all your alarms should go off. All of them. The science. The science is settled. That's all bullshit.
You have an event coming up, but it has limited occupancy. Is it going to be just the first of many? And how can people come to these events to hear you speak?
That's my plan, unless I have no fun at all. But I can't imagine that. It's in my hood. It's at my friend's ranch, and it's going to be fun. I think it'll be cool. It's easy. It's easy for me to speak to the affiliates and their friends.
And where can people go? I know you're not, you don't want to promote your own shit. You're very, I don't know, you don't like to do that, but you have to tell us, where can people go to sign up for events or get on a waiting list so what more events pop up around the world?
God, I don't know. And I've not been to the site that Emily's running, but I know it is there. Yeah, can you believe I've still not looked at people? How's the book going? And I'm like, I'm not writing a book. I'm developing a curriculum. The book is Emily's. I'm not I don't have enough interest in CrossFit to write a book about it.
Okay. For everyone who's listening, I will get you information on that. I will get you a link. We will put a link permanently on every YouTube video that we post from now on in the comments so that you can see where to sign up for these events. But I am on to something, right? Even though you're not saying yes or no,
Yeah.
you are going to be doing some small events, and you're going to probably do a lot of them. And the first one is coming up, and it's going to be for the CrossFit community to come and hear and learn about broken science. Okay.
And I'll just tell you, we're starting at the ranch, you know.
Okay.
So much began there, and it was fun. It's 20 minutes from my place in Santa Cruz, and so great start. But I don't think I have it in me to say no to. I just heard from Doug Chapman yesterday. He just affiliated his 18th year.
He re-affiliated or de-affiliated?
Yes, he re-affiliated. Re-affiliated, and he's coming out. He's going to be there. But I could see just running through that list of longtime affiliates, the people that have been there 10 to 18 years, and if they had interest. I don't think I'd be able to say no to go out. And it's a simple thing for me to just fly into town, do that thing, have some tacos, and leave.
You and I went to the Super Bowl together, and we showed up at halftime, and we left 3 minutes into the third quarter. and both of us were happy to go there and leave. That was in Dallas.
Dave and I were invited to the Super Bowl to go on one of the teams playing's owner's bird and sit with him, it was a tough thing to explain that, you know, greatly appreciate the offer, humbled by it, touched, honored, but there's someone out there that it would be an experience of a lifetime to go get to see the Super Bowl and go with the owners on their jet. But I'm not that guy. So.
But what about
I'd rather drive across 4 states and go sit in your box with you, right? But
okay, what about this
the Super Bowl?
What about this sporting event? There's a guy who owns 5 gyms on the Isle of Man, and his name's Jake Chapman, and he says, "Does Greg want to come to the watch the TT on the Isle of Man?" I mean, would that interest you? I mean, obviously, I'm not. It's not like an invite, like you have to commit to it now. But I mean, I love the thought of going and watching that race. Do you know what that race is, Greg? Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah. And you know, I know about it's kind of a tragic year last year. Some unfortunate level of injuries. I think it was last year, and you know, I have let's call it a sickness for all things on 2 wheels.
Right. Yes.
That.
Yes.
So you know, that's a little more interesting to me. But I'm not much of a spectator for sport. And I think I was invited to that too.
To the Isle of Man, you've been invited before.
I think I was this year. It's just come up recently, and I said, "Yeah, we'll see." I need to make a trip to Europe. And I need to do so to see affiliates, and not to, you know, I don't want to go to Monte Carlo, and I don't think I want to go to the World Cup or anything like that. I got a simpler thing going.
Hey, what do you mean see the affiliates? Are you feeling some sort of familial like obligation, or what do you mean to visit the affiliates? What are you talking about? You sold the company.
No, but you know, the country managers and the affiliates. Just take Europe, for example. I speak with all of them regularly, as though I had just seen them last week. And these are friends, and they've been, when they're stateside, they come see me, and I just, in visiting them, it feels natural. It feels like a family reunion. I do feel some obligation to do that because we are friends, and the other thing is I can get my bird over there. I don't have to fly commercial, so I can hopscotch from, like, what is it? I think we go up to Nova Scotia, Iceland, into Paris or something like that. So I can take my own plane, and just I'm spoiled. And I don't really want to fly commercially. I don't enjoy that so much.
Hey,
I'd rather drive cross country than fly.
Change of subject here. I had Chris Cooper on the other day, and he was doing the podcast, and he was streaming it from his house, and he was using Starlink. And I know you have a Starlink as a backup at some of your homes.
I do in Santa Cruz.
Yeah. And I thought that was the first time I'd seen that. I didn't think that Starlink was fast enough to do streaming, but I guess it was. Our connection was amazing.
That's good to hear. It's slow. I have a microwave relay link in Santa Cruz, and it's blistering fast. And so I use the Starlink for a backup, and it's nice to hear that it's wholly adequate for streaming work.
What do you think about? We had a little talk on the show earlier. What do you think about microwaves? Do you think microwaves are dangerous? Do you think that they're bad for the food? Are you a fan of the microwave? Just for like the one in the kitchen? I know that's different than the one you were referencing.
Yeah, it's nothing I've researched, and so I don't fear it. I'm not looking for something else to be afraid of. I find, but look, I would have described myself as an enthusiastic supporter of the vaccine industry until recently.
Right.
I just don't know. Now, if it turned out, microwaves are killing people, am I going to be shocked? No. Do I suspect they are? No, I have no suspicion. I have no thoughts on it.
All right. Jethro,
I think I've got enough things to be afraid of in life.
Totally.
And maybe I don't need to find any more.
Fair.
But it takes a pretty good effort on my part just to keep myself and my family away from sugar. And to get the kids to put their seatbelts on, and did you brush your teeth?
Jethro Cardona, Greg, I just finished my level 1 yesterday. They mentioned you by name 5 times. It's so good to hear. You've changed my life. Thank you, Greg Cardona.
Well, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Michael C. Sevan, I DM'd you my info on Instagram for Greg's Broken Science in June, but I haven't heard back. I didn't respond to you. My DMs are crazy. You should email me at sevanmatosian@gmail.com. I promise you I will try to find your information. Greg.
Tell you what, let me see how 3 June goes. I from what we did in Hillsdale, I quickly took the position that, God, the affiliates are fun. I mean, these people they're receptive, their questions are good, they're intelligent, they're thoughtful. There's not even the slightest tone of belligerence, so I don't mind that. I launched this thing standing in front of large crowds of people, telling them your diet's killing you and your workouts are stupid. So I don't really mind the confrontation, but we're in a little different space now. And if I enjoy this on the 3rd, the way I'm presuming I'm going to have mariachis and tacos, for God's sake. I get to talk about broken science and to reconnect with some old friends. If that goes as I anticipate it to, what I think we'll do is put some kind of schedule forward that's got whistle stops across the country. So, coming soon, I would suspect.
Thoughts on Tucker Carlson being gone from Fox News? Have you looked into that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Is that a trip?
I read his text to internally, and God, regardless of how you interpreted the text in terms of the veracity, whether he had it right or not, and it seems he likely did, but regardless of that, he provided the essential elements of the Dominion suit, and that coming up in discovery, right or wrong, I suspected he was doomed. It's even if the employee is a friend of yours, if their text costs you upwards of $800 million, you're probably going to be a little bit butthurt as it settles, right? That's quite a hit to take from even a friend.
So you're saying that they saw a text.
I couldn't imagine him remaining after that.
So they saw a text that implicated Fox, knowing that they were presenting some information that was a lie, which then implicated Fox in hurting Dominion, and that's why they had to pay the fine. That's they're
clearly lying. He said Powell is clearly lying. He expressed some powerful dislike of Trump, but the thing that I think really hit home was he says Dominion's going to sue us for billions of dollars and we're going to lose. And so you get into trial and you're like, did you know it was false? Well, your guy's saying it was. I mean, no, the case was determined by those tests.
What about, did you hear the thing about how Paul Ryan was on the board of Fox and that basically Tucker wanted to tell the truth about January 6th and the powers that be at Fox did not want Trump in power. And so therefore they wanted to kind of continue this like subtle beatdown of Trump, and that Tucker was against that. He wanted to tell the truth about January 6th. And so that's the reason why they got rid of him. Did you hear any of that?
No, but I could see that being a factor as well.
Yeah, kind of crazy. What do you think happens to someone like that?
Yeah, I don't listen. Like the January 6th thing. There were some bad actors in there, and no one should be storming the Capitol building or anything else. But I'm bothered by people being upset by the Capitol being stormed, and yet we watched a barber being drugged from his shop and stomped to death in a mostly peaceful protest, and no one gave a shit. And frankly, I'm a little more bothered than that. I was more bothered than that than I would have been if they burned the Capitol to the ground. Frankly,
what are you referencing?
We'd rebuild it. It's a building. It's a building.
Right.
You know.
What are you referencing about the barber being pulled out? Was that something?
I saw a handful of small businessmen yanked from their premises,
right,
and brutalized in what the mainstream media called mostly peaceful protests. That when you stomp a barber, a veteran, when you stomp his brains out on the street in a crowd, that's not a mostly peaceful protest, to my way of thinking.
Right. Yeah.
And that was writ large across the country. It wasn't an isolated incident.
No, not at all. I mean, the irony is in some of those protests. I mean, the former chief of police for the city of Oakland, who is a black guy, was also shot to death in front of a building that celebrated one of the black civil rights leader at the time during the BLM protest. I mean, it's absolute insanity.
For instance.
Yes.
For instance. Yeah. Hey, listen, school shootings are horrible.
Right.
Why aren't the scores of young men and women slaughtered every weekend in our city streets? Why isn't that a problem?
Right. Yes. On to a lighter topic. Greg, I know you are a huge fan of the Nano 2. Did you know that they brought the Nano 2 back supposedly this month?
No, but that's interesting because our friends at Victos. They're I don't even know the name of the shoe, but I got them in you too.
The core. The
core.
Yep.
Man, they carried the mantle. That's when we asked them about it, they go, "We just took the Nano 2.0 and made it better." And so I put them on, and I was like, "You know what? This is like the Nano 2.0, but better." Not sponsored, by the way. I pay for every fucking pair I got.
Yes.
But it's good. It was a better shoe.
Homeschooling.
Yeah.
So you're homeschooling two kids that just turned into three kids. One of your kids just entered your school program. Are you loving that?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why are you homeschooling your kids? Why aren't you sending them to public school? Or, I mean, I know you've sent them to some of the best private schools in the world too for kindergarten and first grade. Why have you switched to homeschool?
Yeah, we had absolutely fantastic public and private options here in Scottsdale and in Coeur d'Alene. And what I was doing is there were deficiencies. Well, the PE is not good, and so we'll do jujitsu and we'll do this and that. They're not getting enough math, and so we have a tutor. And so what was happening is I'm up at 6 a.m. screaming upstairs, "Come on, get up! We gotta go! Breakfast! Go! Gotta get your uniform on. We gotta get in the car. Lunch is packed. Everyone ready to go by 7 a.m. so we can get in the queue and drop your ass off. Because if we're later than 7:40, I gotta park the car and get in line with all the methamphetamines that can't wake up in the morning and sign my kid in. And so we got to be on our way by 7. And then at 3 o'clock, I'm doing the same thing. Get in the car, go, come home. But they get out of your uniform. Let's get a snack and get ready because the tutor's coming. And so all these efforts to to compensate for what wasn't happening even in the best schools. That weighed heavy on me, but the final straw for me was Uvalde. And my kids were in their last day of school at one of the best charter schools chains in the country, hands down, the Great Hearts program. They're in that system. It's their last day of school. This is the day after Uvalde. And I was like, you know what? I can compensate for everything deficient in the school system except people shooting at my kids while the cops form a perimeter and hide from the action. That I can't do anything about. And I decided then and there we're done. Now, here's the surprise to all of that. Two things. First of all, the pace at which we're advancing is blowing my mind. We shoot for 6 days a week. We probably hit 4.5. A lot of travel, a lot of other things going on. But in that time, at 2.5, 3 hours a day, we're doubling the national pace recognized for curricular K through 6. We're doubling the pace. And so I took my second grader and I put my hand on his head and I said, you are now a third grader. I gave him a battlefield promotion to the third grade. And we went off to the races. And a couple months later, it's like, wow, I mean, we're just crushing this thing. What was going on in the second grade? I look at second grade curriculum and it's the same shit. There's not an assumption of retention. And so you kind of, in the second grade, third grade, fourth, fifth, we're doing a lot of the same things over and over again. But what we've been able to do is we knocked out the third grade math and English in about 3.5, 4 months. And so my kids are going to be in the sixth grade several years ahead of the other kids at a reduced load and without homework. But understand, you know, part of it is just the numbers of a teacher with 35 kids. How much time can you spend with each kid? And I don't know about other kids. I presume that they're like me and like my kids. But when the teacher was standing over me looking at what I was doing, I would be paying attention and trying. And as soon as she went over to the next kid, I'm talking to Susie or counting holes in the ceiling or watching the clock tick. And in the 2.5 hours a day that we spend on it, there's none of that. There's none of that alternative for the kids. I'm really up there close and personal with them. And so a couple of things. The pace at which we're moving the ball is a blow mind to me. And the fun we're having doing it, it kind of reminds me of being in the gym. There's a lot of laughter, a lot of hard work. It's eminently enjoyable. And my kids like it too. Maggie now uses regular school system. You want to go back to the public school? And they're like, no.
Yeah, punishment. Yeah, I say that to him too. I drive by the school and I go, do you want to go in there with those kids? They're like, no. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg,
we're all enjoying it.
I think a lot of people think that they're not smart enough or that they're not capable of homeschooling. And I know you never had that issue, but I do think that you are surprised at how much you're actually truly enjoying the emotional and the relationship building. Whenever I talk to you on the phone about it, which is regularly, you're always talking about how the development of the relationship with your kids through that process.
That's
the part that's
shock
going you
of my
away.
adult life. How much I'm enjoying doing this.
And you don't say that lightly. Floored. It's the single greatest shock of your adult life, you said.
Yep. And I've never enjoyed anything more than I do our schoolwork. Now, let me share with everyone what we're doing.
It's fucking awesome.
We're only doing qualitative and quantitative reasoning. And so, and I kind of, start with why, right? What am I looking for? And what I want to do. And, every curriculum wants to make better citizens or whatever the fuck that means. But what I want to do is I want to preserve as many life options for my kids as long as possible. So that, for instance, whether they're 17 or 40 and they say, hey, I want to be a journalist or a lawyer or a silversmith or a molecular biologist, nobody laughs. And so what would you do to do that? Well, it's supernumeracy and superliteracy. And so what we're doing is we're moving towards, by the 12th grade, my kids are going to be able to solve quantitative problems and work problems that are amenable to a quantitative solution. So we contextualize all the math against real world problems, and that's a great introduction for the important sciences. And then on the qualitative reasoning, the idea is that the kids are going to be able to read anything and write forcefully about it. I mean, with appropriate usage, without grammatical or syntactical error, employing some modicum of rhetorical skills, be able to diagram sentences. And my observation was that the view of school where I'm trying to learn a cornucopia of unrelated facts, you're kind of like trying to build a Jeopardy champion, as opposed to, say, on the other extreme, we got the guy that can solve any problem but can't find his car keys, right? Doesn't know what day of the week it is.
Yep.
My assumption is, and this is a generalization, probably going to irritate some people here, but your Jeopardy champion could very well be a moron.
Right.
And so what I want to do is, and what would I contextualize? I mean, to read things and write forcefully about it, you've got to be reading something. And I'll just use the Western canon for that. And there's nothing new in my approach, by the way. This is kind of the view of school that's not just 150 years old, but 500 years old, and in some cases 5,000 years old. And so I want to develop kids that, and what's cool too is where this ends up, where if you take the qualitative and quantitative reasoning far enough down the road, it finds a bridge at probability theory and information theory, where I think, bridge qualitative and quantitative into something that's absolutely gorgeous. And people that have that understanding of the world could, I think, make easy play of almost any intellectual task. So it's kind of like what's wrong with lateral raises. It's what's wrong with memorizing state capitals. Is you probably don't know how to find the greatest common denominator.
Yeah.
There's skills that are imperative. The cool thing too is that everything we do will stay with you forever, because if you forget that 42 is 6 times 7, it's going to make later math a lot harder. And so we're never moving on to something different, really. It's just compounds. And so I'm making this easy for me and for us, and I think it's effective.
Jake Chapman writes, Greg emailed me after I had a CF CrossFit film at my box back in 2017 about a member who beat type 2 diabetes. It was the best email I ever received. I guess you congratulated the gym owner for curing someone of type 2 diabetes.
I'll congratulate him again. It's that is a remediable situation, type 2 diabetes.
Greg, thanks for coming on. We're hitting the 3-hour mark. I'm so awesome you called in. I hope this becomes a regular thing where you call in regularly.
I will. I'm ready for it. I'm kind of in a space here in life where it makes sense for me. It feels good. So thanks for having me, and it's great to be in touch with everyone. And thank you, everyone. I owe the community so much. I wouldn't even know where to start. I just leave it at that. I've gotten to share my vision for a healthier world with so many people, and it's a little tough for me to. Anyone that wants strangers coming up and telling them that they love them, like you're mentally ill if you really enjoy that. It's an awkward thing to do, and yet I'm hugely appreciative. It's a cool thing. It's a lot of wonderful people out there. And I remember when I had visions for the longest time for several years of making it around to every one of the affiliates. And there was a point where that became impossible mathematically. And that was kind of hard for me. And then in 2020 with the Zoom calls, I'm going to be able to talk to them all again. It's a hard thing to give back when I've been given so much. It's tough. You just keep plugging away at it. But I'm out there. I'll be around.
Awesome. Thanks, dude. I will be in touch very shortly. I love you to death, Greg.
Yeah, I love everyone. Love you, Sevi. Thanks, bud.
Okay, bye.